Hey guys, John Adamson, the rehab and documentation guru, looking for my water. I had to have a hard conversation with a 22-year-old paraplegic today. 22-year-old male in a motor vehicle accident. Unfortunately, got pushed into an oncoming tractor trailer, and the blunt force trauma gave him it says incomplete, excuse me, paraplegia at T7 level. And he had stabilization surgery. He also broke his left femur. I mean, it's amazing that he didn't have much more injured at that point. And the nurse said, some bird just pooped on my windshield. That's a really nasty one. I'll have to get that off. Um, I was not expecting that, and I didn't need to tell you that. But that's the way I am. So anyway, I evaluated this guy after the nurse did the case opening, and she had indicated that he thought he was having a return. Now, his injury was only a month and a half ago. And of course, he then had stabilizing surgery of the thoracic spine, but he is insensate below about just below his ribs, which, is consistent with his injury level. And he has no abdominal control, again, consistent, and nothing, no motor control whatsoever. What's interesting is he had not a Babinski. I've not really seen this particular one, and maybe some neurospecific therapists might tell me what reflex this is, because I couldn't find it. I tried to look it up. But when I did the stroking on the plantar aspect of his foot to try to elicit a Babinski, instead what I got was a whole foot curling down. And I hadn't seen that before, but it was bilateral symmetrical. He had no clonus, so that was interesting to me. So I kind of took that as a good sign. What what I suspect, and also he had absent reflexes at his patellar tendons. What I suspect might be going on is he's probably still got some cord compression due to swelling from post-surgical and just recovery. So like a spinal contusion. And anyway, I'm not 100%, and neuro is not my strength. So if you've got some insight on that, let me know. But anyway, he's a month and a half out. He's got no return whatsoever in his lower extremities, and he's in a wheelchair, and not a highly educated young man. Uh, was 22-year-old, working at McDonald's, no college degree. Uh, just not a great situation. And he's like, I feel like it's coming back, and so, what do you do in those situations? I'm very straightforward. I don't like beating around the bush with patients. I want them to know the truth, but I also try to put out hope for them, and I hope you do too. I really think that lying to a patient for the sake of bolstering their emotions is a bad idea. I think, and this guy's cognitively intact. So I had a conversation with him, and I said, look, I'm not one to say whether you will walk again or not. I said, it could be that the wheelchair will be yours for the rest of your life. I said, but you don't know. It's still early. You're still healing. Nerve takes a long time to heal. Nerves do. And I said, you could end up with getting back on your feet. But I wanted him to be prepared that perhaps this was going to be his life. I think it's important to be honest with people. I think they deal better. They've got to go through the grieving process. And so if I were to put out hope to him and say, oh, your injury is only partial, you're young, you probably get really excellent return, and then it doesn't happen, I've done him a disservice rather than preparing him. So anyway, I talked to him about that, and he seemed, he took that well, and he said he's not really struggling with depression right now, and he's got good family support. So we talked about different things. One thing I couldn't believe was that he'd never been given splints for his ankles. Now, fortunately, both ankles he had dorsiflexion at 15 degrees with knee extension, and so that's a good sign. So I'm going to try to get him, ankle dorsiflexion resting splints. Um, he has a good cushion, Rojo cushion. He's getting a more appropriate custom built wheelchair with offloading cushions, so that's good. Uh, and at this point, really, there's not much I can do for therapy because he spent a lot of time inpatient at a rehab. He was taught how to transfer himself with a sliding board. He knows how to do range of motion. His girlfriend does stretching for him. We talked about keeping up his respiratory strength because he's got no abdominals. So I talked to him about respiration training. That's important. When you're lacking abdominals, you're going to have a weak cough or sneeze. And he's upset about his stomach sticking out, which, I said, you've got no tone there, but if you get some return, that'll come back. You'll get you'll get a flatter stomach again. So he's worried about his abdomen sticking out a little bit. But he's a skinny guy, so it's not too bad. And we talked about sparing his shoulders and being really, really careful to prevent injury. He's kind of skinny up top. And he also had a reflex. Well, he says it's a chronic condition, but he had a really high heart rate, 132, which for a 20-year-old, he could probably sustain that for a long time and not have ill effect. And he's got no cardiac history, diagnosed at least. But I did put a note into the doctor and the nurse about that. I think he should probably get that checked out. It could be related to what happened with him. And I'm a little rusty on my sympathetic nervous system levels, but perhaps he has a uh, sympathetic nervous excitation from his injury level. I don't know. So, anyway, I just think that needs to get checked out. But as of right now, he doesn't have any ongoing PT needs that I could see, in terms of nothing he can't handle given what he's got left. And I'm going to go see him again, hopefully, get a referral when he gets his new chair just to verify fit and usability for him. And then I told him, if he gets some return, as he's getting return, especially of his trunk and is starts to get his hips in, then, we're going to be looking at therapy again. And I just prepared him for the fact that he could be going in and out of therapy depending on progress for a while now. And he understood that. So anyway, hard conversations with patients. It's important to be honest. Of course, I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying this based on your diagnosis is what we might be seeing. How do you handle that? I'd be curious to hear, how you'd handle that situation. I've had to have that conversation before with people that have this kind of injury. And for the most part, by the time I've gotten the patient, they're ready to accept that. Some hard news. So that's good too. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a great day because it is done and there's still actually sunlight out. Have not had that in a while. Anyway, I hope you take care and God bless.